The market for CFexpress Type A cards has changed quite a bit over the last little while, where you don't just have Sony making these things anymore, you've got all these other reputable manufacturers in the storage game throwing their hat in the ring with their own products. And that's driven down the price considerably to the point where you can actually start to consider these things as a viable alternative to regular SD cards. The one I'm going to show you here today is this Lexar Professional Gold Series CFexpress Type A. It's 160 gigabyte capacity. It's got the 400 megabytes per second rating, which means you're guaranteed to get at least that, which you're going to need for certain video options on some of Sony's cameras. This thing's capable of reading at 900 megabytes per second, which is crazy fast, and it can write at 800 megabytes per second. Those numbers absolutely blow away what you can get out of a standard SD card. These are some popular ones that I've been using for a while from ProGrade. 128 gigabyte capacity, read and write speeds of 300 and 250 megabytes per second. Just nowhere near those crazy high numbers of the CFexpress Type A. The reader I've got here today is part of the same Lexar Professional series, and it's actually a dual slot reader, so it'll give you a slot for CFexpress Type A and UHS-2 SDXC cards. So you can have your SD cards in there if you're still using those, and also your CFexpress Type A, so it'll work with both. Here's a quick look at the card reader. It's pretty small, compact, and lightweight, but it feels solid. It's got a little bit of grip on the bottom so it doesn't go sliding across your desk. There's the CFexpress Type A slot there, and the SD card slot just next to it there. If we flip it around and look at the back, it's just a single USB Type-C port to get it plugged into your computer. It does come with its own USB Type-C cable, but it's extremely short, so just keep that in mind. You're gonna have to be pretty close to your PC or whatever device you're plugging this into. And it does have a little adapter there attached, so if you flip that guy on top of the Type-C connection, it'll allow you to plug that into a standard USB Type-A port. This is the Sony FX30. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically a video camera but stuck inside an alpha body. So it looks a lot like one of their standard alpha photography bodies, but it's really a dedicated video camera. And much like Sony's alpha cameras, if you pop open this memory card compartment, we've got those dual slots that can take SD cards or CFexpress Type A. Before I load the cards into the camera, let's just do a really quick size comparison so you can see what I'm talking about and why you need a new reader for this thing. So this is the CFexpress Type A card. It's hard to tell on its own how big that really is, or how small I should say. Now here's a standard SD card beside it. If you thought SD cards were small, wait till you get your hands on CFexpress Type A. It is much, much smaller. With the FX30, if I want to put an SD card in, the label that tells you everything about the card actually faces forward, so you're looking at the back of the card when you stick it in there, and it just slides in and clicks into place like that. Now with a CFexpress Type A card, it's a little bit different. The label is facing you, which I like better because you can actually see what you're doing and what kind of card you're putting in, and it does the exact same thing. You just stick it in, press down until it clicks, and it's ready to go. Now with the SD cards I showed you, I can basically do everything on this camera and record at the highest all-intra frame codecs all the way up to 60p without a problem. But if I want to be able to shoot in 4K resolution at 120 frames per second, I've got to switch over to that CFexpress Type A card or the camera's just not even going to let me record. Let me quickly show you how this works. So if I press mode and I go over to slow and quick mode, I'm currently in the menu and you can see I'm running the regular XAVCS codec, which is not very data heavy. But if we open that up and we want to go to all-intra, XAVCS-I 4K, we select that, and right away I get an error that says I basically can't use this setting unless I have a memory card CFexpress VPG 200 or greater. Okay, so we press OK. Now if I pull that SD card out and insert the CFexpress Type A, so if I switch over now with the CFexpress Type A card installed, you can see there's absolutely no problem whatsoever. It will allow me to record in that setting and take full advantage of what this camera can do. To get this set up and ready to use, all I got to do is take my USB-C cable, plug it into the back of the card reader, and then plug it into an open USB-C port on my PC. Now all we got to do is plug in our cards and see what kind of speeds we can get when we jump into the computer and start transferring some files. So there's the CFexpress Type A, and here's the SD UHS Type 2. Over here on my Windows desktop, both cards were registered right away as soon as I plugged them in, which is a good sign. Over here on the left, we have the CFexpress Type A, and the card on the right is the SD. I put the exact same file on both cards so that we can do a transfer to my Windows PC and see if we're getting the rated speeds that we're supposed to be getting from these cards and reader. I'm going to start with the SD card first. I'm just going to grab this file and drag and drop it onto my desktop. And now the CFexpress Type A. The CFexpress Type A card was able to transfer that same 4.7 gigabyte file about 3.2 times faster than the SD. It shows you just how much time this can save you if you're working with really big files. At its current price point, along with this 160 gigabyte CFexpress Type A card, I think both of these things are an awesome addition to anyone using one of Sony's modern cameras.